Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, and you know what today is? We are officially 1 week out from Election Day 2025 on November 4th, so make sure to get out and vote. You don't have much time left, and we are going to be doing our 1 week out predictions for all of these races. So we're going to look at Virginia's governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general races, New Jersey's governor race, Pennsylvania's Supreme Court races, the California referendum, and New York's mayoral race. So let's get into them and make sure to I'm actually going to be looking at some polls as well and comparing stuff, so make sure to like and subscribe for more like this. And this is probably going to be like my second or third to last prediction for 2025. I'm obviously going to do one right before Election Day, November 3rd or November 4th morning, or I am going to do one if I can, one in between if there isn't enough news. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start off with the Virginia governor race. So obviously, Republican candidate Winsome Earle-Sears is going up against Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger. Sears is the lieutenant governor, and Spanberger is a former representative from Virginia's 7th congressional district, I believe. So, right now, polling is not looking too good for Sears. I mean, there was the scandal of a Democratic Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, but that really hasn't brought Spanberger's polling down that much because up ballot ripple effects don't really exist. I mean, before it came out, like September, I mean, Spanberger was up by like 10 in this poll, 10 in this poll, 12 in this poll, but now, sure, it went down. She's only leading by like 8 and 7, but it only went down 5 points, and it didn't go down by like double digits, and Abigail Spanberger is still up. The average here on DDHQ is 7.7. On Race to the White House, it's 8.3 for Spanberger. Real Clear Politics, it's 7.1 for Spanberger. In VoteHub, it's 7.9 for Spanberger. The average of those is going to be 7.8. So obviously, Abigail Spanberger is the favorite in this race. But we look at 2021. These polls, I mean, in the end, the Republican candidate, Glenn Youngkin, somehow won by 2%. There were a couple polls that did show this result, like especially at the end, but we haven't had a lot of polls from the end so far. But I mean, yeah, most of these polls actually predicted a win. So, I mean, if we go by comparing the polling between 2025 and 2021, I think Virginia is going to go likely Democrat on the governor's level. Wait, I actually have to switch the mode here. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a lean Democrat. I think it's going to go likely Democrat. I think Abigail Spanberger will win by 5%. It might be 4%, which would make it a lean Democrat. But for now, I'm going to go with 5 points to Abigail Spanberger. Now let's move on to the other Virginia races. The Virginia Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor's race. Here we go, 2025. And you see here, Republican candidate John Reed is going up against State Senator Ghazal Hashmi. John Reed has never held political office before. I mean, recently, he's actually faced some sort of a scandal involving him on an adult content website, but it really hasn't brought him down that much. And you know what really brought him up in polling? It's very shocking. He did a debate, and recently in ads, he's definitely been talking a lot about Ghazal Hashmi rejecting his debates. So he did a debate, but Ghazal Hashmi was not there. So instead of doing something where it was like a 2021 Georgia Senate Jon Ossoff like thing, where it's only Jon Ossoff and his Republican opponent was not there, he actually had his Ghazal Hashmi be represented by an AI version of Ghazal Hashmi. So it was very interesting. It wasn't an official debate, but definitely interesting, and was kind of a publicity stunt. And his polling kind of has gotten better. I mean, Suffolk is probably one of the best polls we've gone, because like you've gotten a lot of polls, but State Navigate is really bad for polling. It's a cool site, but it's bad for polling. A2 Insight's kind of the same thing, but the other polls, Suffolk, it's a B-rated pollster, one of the best, although it's not A-rated. A-rated's very rare, but B-rated pollsters are fine. And it shows this race tied, 45 to 45, and that's really interesting. Because if we pull, actually no, that's not the right poll, but um, here, no, not New Jersey, but here you do see that the average on DDHQ is Hashmi +4. That has actually went down. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's very interesting. And wait, let me see if I can pull this open. Yeah, here. A couple like a month ago, September 27, 28, Hashmi was up by 4.5. Now she's only up by 4. And in August, she was up by like 10. So I feel like the lieutenant governor's race, if Reed does win, I think this is going to be like the most likely, somewhat of a shocker of the night. Because recently Reed has definitely went up in polling. So that's very, very interesting. And I honestly think that he has like a 20-30% chance of actually beating Zala Hashmi. And I mean, if this happens, come back here. And yeah, so definitely tell me. But now let's move on to our attorney general's race. Actually, before we do that, let me make this rating on the map. I think it's gonna go to Ghazala Hashmi by around 2 to 3%, closer than the governor's race. Not quite toss up or favored to Republicans though. So yeah, that's what I have for Virginia's lieutenant governor's race. Now let's talk about attorney general. This is the only one with a Republican incumbent running for re-election because attorney generals in Virginia are not term limited to only one term. But governor and lieutenant governor is. So you have Mears running for re-election a month ago, before the massive groundbreaking scandal came out of Jay Jones, um, messages being leaked. You had uh, Jones being consistently up in polling by 6 points, by 4 points, by 6 points again, and then now basically in every single poll except for State Navigate, like I said, State Navigate's very Democratic leaning pollster. You have basically every single poll showing Meir is up by one, I'm actually surprised because there's not a single time that he's able to get over 50% in a poll besides Trafalgar, and Trafalgar's kind of Republican leaning, so there is that. But yeah, Mears definitely is a favorite. Not much to talk about here, but I think Mears will win by a lean Republican margin. I'd say 3%. So there's Virginia. I'm gonna switch it back to the governor rating, by the way, so people don't get mad at me and say like, why is the governors in Virginia rated lean Republican? And they didn't watch the video, but let's move over to New Jersey's governor race now. You have Democratic candidate and Representative Mikey Sherrill going up against a Republican nominee for the state in 2021 as well, Jack Ciattarelli, who lost to incumbent Democratic Governor Phil Murphy by 3.22%. So the interesting thing about this one is really that if we compare polling right now, the Real Clear Politics had Murphy winning by 8% all the way up until Election Day. Obviously, we're not Election Day, like right before Election Day just yet, but if we look at Real Clear Polling's aggregate, you see here that they have it as 3.8. So 4 points closer than 2021, and you want to see the margin? Murphy won by just around 3, just over 3. So if the Real Clear Polling change between their aggregate and the final result, if we move that over to 2025, you do have Jack Ciattarelli winning by like 0.6%. So that's really interesting. But you haven't had a poll of him winning since like September, and that was from a Republican leaning pollster. I mean, you had another Republican rated pollster getting a tied result, but yeah, definitely interesting. And I mean, yeah, I want to trust this one with Cheryl up by 12. That's not happening. But yeah, you even have this Republican pollster coefficient only having Cheryl up by 1%. But I will say Chiarelli has just gotten a major endorsement from Lakewood Township in New Jersey, a major Jewish stronghold in the state of New Jersey. Um, all five Jewish, I think four or five, yeah, I think all five Jewish counselors of the VOD there endorsed Jack Ciattarelli, and that township it stores thousands of votes for Republicans in the VOD. I'm pretty sure endorsed the Democrat Phil Murphy in 2021, so that could actually become crucial for Jack Ciattarelli. You see here in 2021, Democrats actually only won by around 84,000 votes, and yeah, that was just definitely very interesting. So honestly, really anything can like change. Like these very small things can definitely like change the outcome here. New Jersey's definitely going to be one of probably the top race to watch. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say about New Jersey. My final rating, with officially 1 week out, is probably lean Democrat. I think Cheryl wins by 1 to 2%, but definitely still has a large chunk of it remaining toss up. I would like to see more polls from New Jersey. You've gotten a lot of polls from Virginia, not so much from New Jersey, I'll say that. Definitely waiting on more polling from New Jersey. We're definitely going to get a lot of polls from both Virginia and New Jersey in the last week before Election Day. So now let's move over to Pennsylvania. 2025 Pennsylvania Supreme Court election. So you have three justices up. So basically, on the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, they kind of just ask, do you want to retain them? This means, do you want to give them another term? A term is 10 years. All three of these justices up are liberal, Democratic leaning justices. You have Christine Donahue, Kevin Doherty, and David Wedge. So, I mean, I mean, like Pennsylvania only voted for Donald Trump by 3%, and in off-year elections, Democrats usually overperform, and especially the ones that get like no name recognition, and also it is a Republican held White House here, because usually the party that is not in the White House in these first off-year elections do the best. So yeah, not yeah, I don't think any of these three justices are getting kicked out. I mean, if we look at polling, Christine Donahue has +4 in this poll, +10 in this poll. Doherty has +11 in this poll, +17 in this poll, and Wedge has +4 in this poll, +13 in this poll. So none of these polls have any of these three justices getting kicked out. And I'll just use a blue leaning for this one, but let me see. I'm gonna actually add a color. So this one's actually also gonna work for California as well. Yes/retain. We'll make it preset colors green. Right there. So I have Pennsylvania. The average of all of these, I have it going likely Republican retain, +9%. And for each individual justice, I have actually Donahue's race being closest. Hers is gonna be +4. Wedge is gonna be +8, and Doherty is gonna be +10. Well, no, +12. So actually, not really averaging out to. Wait, let me see here. 12, 24. That's actually gonna be +8. Yeah, +8, not +9. Yeah, so +8 is gonna be the average for all three of these justice races. And I'll actually add no slash no for California and Pennsylvania as well. While we're at it, that's gonna be yellow. So, Pennsylvania is gonna go for retain all three of these Democratic leaning justices. Now we're gonna move on over to California, where you have Proposition 50 being on the ballot. So I go over here, and you see here, you have some major polls, and actually I'm pretty sure based on county, the wording of the question is actually different. Because in some counties, it talks about Texas's redistricting, but in some other ones, it actually doesn't talk about redistricting happening in Texas. And obviously, the ones that don't talk about it happening in Texas actually have more people voting no that way, because it just talks about getting rid of the independent commission. So you look at these questions, it doesn't actually even talk about the independent commission being removed. Like, yeah, it only talks about Texas's redistricting, so it kind of leans towards people voting yes, and that's kind of different from the actual ballot question. So I feel like it's the polling here is actually gonna have yes underperforming. I still think it passes, obviously, but not by like 20% from what we're seeing here in Emerson College or CBS News, where it passed by 24%. So I have it going yes by, I'd say 18, 16% right now. I think I still think it goes safe yes, but not by like 20 plus percent. So that's what I have for California. So remember, once again, before we move over to New York City, Virginia is likely Democrat for governor, lean Democrat for lieutenant governor, and lean Republican for attorney general. So now let's move over to New York City. today, Suffolk University in Massachusetts released a pretty interesting new poll regarding the New York City mayor's race, and this is one of the closest margins we've seen so far. Curtis Sewell is somehow only at 11%. Usually in polls, he's at like 20%, 25%, but he's actually tumbled. No, not even tumbled. He actually gained 2% from the last poll. I feel like, I don't know why Suffolk has Sewell so low, but Andrew Cuomo, he gained 9% from the last poll. He jumped from 25 to 34, and now he's only 10% behind Mamdani. Mamdani, he didn't even lose that much. He only lost 1% from the last poll, 45 to 44. So a lot of those undecideds literally just voted for Andrew Cuomo. So compared to the last poll, so from this you have 11% people voters still undecided, but a 10% gap. I mean, there's like a what uh Andrew Cuomo's chances on Polymarket actually jumped to almost 10%, one of the highest in a while. But obviously, Andrew Cuomo's still definitely not the favorite in this race. It's definitely not easy to jump a 10% gap. So, um, yeah, I'd say Andrew Cuomo. I don't think he's gonna come within 10%. This is probably just an outlier poll, but I have Zoran Mamdani. Actually, wait, let me change this here. Zoran Mamdani. I think he pulls. Let's see. There's 11% undecideds. I think he gets 47.4% of the vote, and Republican Curtis Liwa. I actually think he gets under 20%, just under. I think he gets 19.5%. And then you add Andrew Cuomo. And Andrew Cuomo, he gets, I'd say, let's see here, probably like 30. Yeah, I think he loses by a safe margin, like 16%, 13.5%. And wait, how much does that add to? That adds to, yeah, 51, yeah, 98%. Yeah, that makes sense. So, uh, Andrew Cuomo comes in second. I think it would be actually very shocking if Curtis Sewell gets second ahead of Andrew Cuomo. You have the five boroughs. Mamdani's strongest borough is definitely going to be Brooklyn. I think this is Brooklyn, right? Um, Brooklyn is the most populous borough in New York City, and it was also Mamdani's best borough in the primary for the Democratic nomination in New York City. I think he wins it by like 20%. Manhattan also goes safe Democrat. I think he wins it by 18%. Queens goes, I think Queens could go, yeah, I think just barely safe Democrat, plus 15 for the Democrats. And Andrew Cuomo actually wins the Bronx by lean. Uh, I think he wins by 4%. Andrew Cuomo won the Bronx in the primary by 18%. He does really good with African American voters. Lead is definitely going to shorten in the general, but he still wins. And in Staten Island, shockingly, Andrew Cuomo is actually beating the Republican in Staten Island, the only Republican borough in New York City. I think Curtis Sewell wins by 2%. No, Andrew Cuomo wins by 2% in Staten Island. And, yeah, Curtis Sewell just comes short, and Mamdani gets last in Staten Island because it's very Republican. So this is my prediction for New York City Mayor. Mamdani wins by a safe margin, and here are my predictions for all of these other races. Pennsylvania, I have Donahue getting retained by 4%, Wetch getting retained by 8%, and Doherty getting retained by 12% in Pennsylvania. New Jersey, I have Cheryl winning by 2 to 3%. I have Spanberger winning in Virginia by, what did I say, 6%. And Lieutenant Governor's race, I have Hashmi winning by 3%. And for the Attorney General's race, I have Mayeres winning by around 2 to 3%. And in California, my 1 week out prediction is going to be plus, I think, yes, 15, 16 to 7, no, 16, 18. So, I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. We just have 1 week until Election Day, so please also go to my live streams, press the notification button so you are ready to watch my live stream and also like it. So, thank you so much. Once again, like this video if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.